Here we are, Bay Point Billfish Tournament. It's the second year we're back at it. Around here, the Bay Point Billfish Tournament is like the biggest event of the year.
Tournament fishing is 1,000,000% about time management. I've won every tournament that I've ever fished. I just ran out of time finding the biggest one. We still have got an hour really to say to fish to try and get a blue marlin bite. We lose generator power. I'm gonna have to get down there and try and fix this generator, get it back going again.
You can feel the importance of this time every second. You just can't describe the feeling when you go from that level of intensity and pressure to the fish hitting the deck. I mean, when you back into a stage in a crowd like that, that's like an adrenaline rush that most people will never get to experience.
Chasing the Sun is brought to you by Florida Water Sports. Get all you need for the water at fws.fish. Humminbird, simply, clearly better. Minn Kota. And by Pirates Cove Marina. You enjoy the Gulf, we'll take care of the rest.
Here we are, Bay Point Billfish Tournament. It's the second year we're back at it. It's a little rainier this time, but we're packed up, ready to go. I'm here with Captain Brennan, and we're on the Fall Line. And the Fall Line is a custom boat that is owned by the Smith family. And I know y'all know the Smith family, like Jonah Man over here. We fished with them before. It's a family that I've really kind of grown up with. And I'm really honored that we get to come out here and film another Bay Point Billfish Open. Around here, the Bay Point Billfish Tournament is like the biggest event of the year. And there's a lot of money involved. And this is gonna be a completely different show because typically when we set out to film some fishing stuff, you know, filming, that's what it's all about. But this is totally different. So when you approach a tournament like this, what are you looking as far as preparation and planning?
You know, in a tournament like this, and really for any tournament in the Gulf, I'm going to look at, number one is weather. You know, what's our weather going to be like? That's really going to depict on how far we can go. Looking at that weather and judging by, okay, well, like this tournament, it's going to be pretty rough conditions. That's going to cut a lot of where I'm looking to fish out. So I've got to start looking at our charts. There's a Ross chart, there's a Hilton's chart. There's a rip currents chart, and what that shows us is, you know, it's showing altimetry, it's showing current, it's showing what the water color or really the water clarity is going to be, whether it's blue or it's brown. And I'm going to have to really zone in to that area and figure out what's our best chance in this area to fish.
Now that it's game time, everybody else has already left the dock for the most part. And it's lined up all up and down the beach, which is exactly what we want. It's a beautiful shotgun start. There's something magical about all these giant sport fishers just plowing to the southwest. But I gotta say that you win the trophy for the planning award here. When every other boat heads out to the southwest, you turned and went north up through the bay.
Well, the conditions that day were calling for at least 6 foot, and that's 6 foot inside coastal waters. We've got a great boat, we've got a really fast boat. However, our boat is not designed for rough weather.
When we're getting ready to leave, this first round of storms comes through. Some of this rain was intense.
There's no way that I could have actually made it out of that slip safely. It was literally blowing so hard that I had one option. Like, oh, here we go.
Like, we have 3 days of this. Captain Brennan made a great call this morning. Instead of heading out into this 6 to 8 foot seas, we're gonna run the intercoastal and just keep heading west. Like you said, we got more storms ahead of us. And then what's cool is the way the Gulf works out here, we can keep running through the intercoastal waterway. And as soon as we get past the next round of storms, then we can cut out into the Gulf and get onto our fish.
all along the Gulf Coast, you have all these different bay systems, and the government actually connected all those bay systems through the Intercoastal Waterway, which is basically just a man-made canal that ties all these bays together, but it protects us. When that Gulf gets rough and you don't want to run through it, we have this protected waterway we get to run through. That's what we call the Intercoastal. Well, we just stopped to get some fuel because we're running down the Intercoastal, and now we're about to cut out into the open Gulf.
Once we've got our bait caught, we've got our tunas in the tuna tubes, we're now gonna clear this deck of all of our bait fishing stuff, and it's time to play the game.
There's like a little bit of anticipation as we nose up to these passes and look out in the Gulf out there. You know, I'm looking out there, I can tell it's still pretty dang rough.
Both of those times that we looked out and we were like, yeah, this is a no-go.
We're all ready to go. We're ready to get out there and start fishing. But then there's also this little hesitancy because I don't care who you are, nobody's excited about getting beat up like that. So I was pretty relieved when you were like, you know, yeah, that's pretty nasty. I say we keep taking the Intercoastal.
Yeah, that's it. Anytime that you round that corner at the pass and you look out there and it looks like a pasture of sheep, meaning sheep being whitecaps, it's time to keep going if you have that opportunity. I fished a lot of rough days in my life, and none of them I care to go back and fish again.
Yeah.
So
and not beating up your crew on day one is important, because I've always, my buddy Fred Myers always says this when we used to fish redfish tournaments together. He said, you can't win a 2-day tournament on the first day. Well, we just stopped to get some fuel because we're running down the Intercoastal, and now we're about to cut out into the open Gulf. So before we do that, this is a great opportunity to top off the fuel tanks, and that way we get to spend the rest of the trip out there and don't have to worry about fuel. So we can go wherever we want.
Tournament fishing is 1,000,000% about time management and how you're going to use that time to essentially win the tournament. And obviously, you know, you can't win every single time, but I heard a guy tell me once, he said, I've won every tournament that I've ever fished. I just ran out of time finding the biggest one.
All right, I love this part of the day. It's getting later in the day, we're putting the trolling gear up, and now we're catching some live bait. And this is totally different than what most people think of live baiting. This isn't stop at the bait bars and buy cigar minnows. We're actually catching blackfin tuna, and once we catch these blackfin tuna, we're gonna put them in these tuna tubes and keep them alive. Now, most people, that would be their trophy, is to catch blackfin tuna. But no, we're gonna bridle them up and then put them back out and see if we can get a huge blue marlin or a yellowfin tuna to come eat them.
Once we've got our bait caught, we've got our tunas in the tuna tubes, we're now gonna clear this deck of all of our bait fishing stuff, and it's time to play the game.
So we're set up, we're fishing now, and what we're doing, we're actually moving from one rig to another. We started off on a couple rigs out here and actually marked a couple blue marlin on there, and we couldn't get one to bite. So we're gonna move to another rig. Well, on the way, we found this beautiful rip right here. You can see the water is neon green over my shoulder and then just rolls off into this beautiful blue water. What's neat is this rip is actually caused by the Mississippi River pushing out into the Gulf of Mexico. And it just provides habitat, provides that edge, and it provides a temperature change, a salinity change. All those things just create something that bait wants to be around. And then when you have all this bait around it, of course you're gonna have bigger predator fish that are gonna come try to eat it. You know, just so everybody understands how these tournaments work, we're entered in the tournament. So you're entered in the main money, the prize purse for the whole tournament. Everybody's competing for that. But then you have all these other divisions we call Calcuttas. We got tuna, wahoo, dolphin, marlin, catch and release. And so people may wonder, like how do you kind of guess what fish you're gonna try to put your money on trying to catch? For you, it's probably obvious. Y'all have a little system and a style of fishing. If you're gonna fish with that style, what are your most common species you're gonna try to catch?
Our most common species is obviously blue marlin. We're gonna try for blue marlin every time. Yellowfin is really a bycatch to us at this point with the style of fishing in which we're doing. However, we are live baiting, and typically with the size live baits that we're using, yellowfins being that bycatch, when we get a bite from one, it's typically a good one.
Hey, if we don't get bit out of this, y'all, we're tying some plugs on. No, we're ready. We're ready. I have known Jonah since the day he was born. I have watched that kid grow up. And let me tell you something, there is not many grown men out there that can hang with him when it comes to fishing.
My number one rule, there's no yelling, there's no screaming. We're all going to play it calm, cool, and collected, because the real truth is we have nothing until that fish is in the back deck of the boat.
With the development of tuna tubes, being able to catch these live blackfin and smaller yellowfins and keep them alive, that style of fishing to me has kind of re-nourished my love of blue water fishing, because it's so interactive, and that's what I'm looking for a lot of times. That's all we needed. It's catching new baits and rigging those baits, and then it doesn't matter how long it takes, just that one bite. When you hear that thing in free spool, we on, come on. We're on. It's just such a neat way to fish, and that's why I'm glad to see y'all really focusing on that. There we go. We're good now. Hey, I had to unclip the safety line. Here, just. You know, one thing I love about this tournament, obviously I love taking kids fishing, I do it all the time. But when Ashley said Jonah was gonna come with them, and a lot of people might think, well, this is serious, man. This is big money, this is hardcore as fishing gets, right? Most adults are not gonna bring one of their children with them on a tournament like this, but I have known Jonah since the day he was born. I have watched that kid grow up. And let me tell you something, there is not many grown men out there that can hang with him when it comes to fishing. I have watched him catch big tarpon on his own. I bet you he was only 7 or 8 years old, and he would cast to them, he could fight them. He has probably caught more billfish than about 90% of the guys that own boats out here at Bayport. He's back, you're good, he's back.
When she goes, Jonah, just kind of ease back, set your weight into her, Jonah, as she's doing that. Let her put your weight in her and let her know, like, hey, I'm here, I'm tired, okay?
He does not get tired like a lot of grown men do. I know that sounds crazy, but face it, these younger guys, they got a lot more energy, and especially a 13-year-old with that much drive and that much passion. Yeah. And this kid's got it, man.
You can feel the importance of this time every second. There we go. I think that was that big one with them big sickles we saw jump there. Every tail beat of that fish, every time Chip adds a little extra pressure, it just keeps, as the fish is getting closer and closer, the pressure is building higher and higher. And to me, like, everyone's calm and coolness through that time is so important.
I'm not even pulling. All good. Just a tuna, that's all it is.
You have to look at it from this perspective. We're in a tournament. We've got this fish is on the line, and I think all of us there on the back of the deck know somewhere in our heart that this fish is going to be worth some money. So if we get this fish up there and everybody does a great job, and for whatever reason, the leader breaks, she's chafed through it, the hook pulls. If I had you guys at this level and everybody was excited, it's gonna be really hard to ever get you back to that level when that fish breaks. But if we downplay this fish until it's on the back deck, then no matter what, we can recover from that.
All right, hit her.
You're not in. Go again. I got her. Go again. And she ain't in the boat yet. Hold on. Wait till she's in the boat.
My number one rule with my anglers and with my mates or anybody on the boat is there's no yelling, there's no screaming. we're all going to play it calm, cool, collected, because the real truth is we have nothing until that fish is in the back deck of the boat.
That's right.
When he's in the back deck of the boat, I don't care what you do.
You just can't describe the feeling when you go from that level of intensity and pressure to the fish hitting the deck of the boat.
Ready? Are y'all ready? 1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
When it does hit the deck, everybody's able to just really get excited at that point, and I think you see that in Jonah's face of how excited he is.
Yeah, boys.
It's mid-morning. We're on the final morning of the tournament. It's bottom of the ninth. We've got 2 hours left to fish. All of a sudden, center ear clip pops. I look back and all I see is the hole in the water, and I think that I see the dorsal of a blue marlin. We lose generator power that afternoon.
Now it's time to run in because we have a fish to weigh. So
Chasing the Sun has been brought to you by Minn Kota, Florida Water Sports. Get all you need for the water at fws.fish. Humminbird, simply, clearly better. And by Pirates Cove Marina, you enjoy the Gulf, we'll take care of the rest.
So we still have got an hour really to say to fish to try and get a blue marlin bite or a big tuna bite. We've got the big tuna in the boat, and we lose generator power that afternoon, probably sometime around 6:45, 7 o'clock. I know for a fact that I'm gonna have to get down there with my mates and try and fix this generator, get it back going again. Turns out that we actually had a main power drop on a wire on one of our mains going from the generator to the actual power board, and finding that pretty much took all night long.
So here we are, we're starting to run short on time, and we've tried to catch a blue, we've marked them on the sonar, but we haven't been able to get one to bite. And so what is your new approach now?
So at this point, it's pretty much a Hail Mary. It's mid-morning, we're on the final morning of the tournament, it's bottom of the ninth. We've got 2 hours left to fish. Of course, you don't want anybody else to see this, but you're pretty much hitting the panic button upstairs. Like, here we are, we've fished this much time, we've got to catch a blue marlin. We're gonna go for a reaction bite. Let's throw the lures out. I'm gonna put this thing at 7 knots. All of a sudden, center ear clip pops. I look back and all I see is the hole in the water, and I think that I see the dorsal of a blue marlin.
Pretty work. A blue marlin and a yellowfin.
So now we got our blue marlin release. We can say we didn't break the streak. Now it's time to run in because we have a fish to weigh. So it's time to put them throttles down and let's get heading north. Once we make it back in Grand Lagoon is the fact that it's not just to go weigh in your fish and that's it like a lot of tournaments are. This is such a social and family oriented event. I mean, when you back into a stage in a crowd like that, that's like an experience and an adrenaline rush that most people will never get to experience.
And I gotta say, you know, Bay Point, as far as a blue marlin tournament and as far as a venue, is probably one of the best, if not the best, put together venues and tournaments that I've experienced in the Gulf Coast.
All right, hold on. All right, Jack, hit the scale. This weighs 158.9 pounds, 1589. Now third place by about 1 pound.
I mean, after a big weigh-in like this, get to back in the slip at Bay Point, and everybody's done fishing now. So this is when the biggest party kicks off because everybody gets to relax. We don't have to get up at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. And it's just so fun to see everybody. Like I always say, this to me is the biggest social event of the year. That's the other part of this big game tournament fishing that people probably don't see is you have some of the most competitive people in the world doing this. But on the other hand, when everybody gets back to the dock, it is a brotherhood. It's just something that everybody shares because we're so much alike.
That's right. I mean, it's a tight-knit community. I'm not sure that there's anybody down the dock that I can't walk down and know their name or know who they are. And I'm gonna congratulate them and shake their hand. You get back, you get in the shower, and if you close your eyes standing up, it's like you're still offshore. I don't know if you've experienced that or not. And so at this point, you know, instead of hanging out that night and seeing old buddies and captains and mates, guys we grew up with in this industry, I just wanted to go home and go to bed.
13 years old, Jonah Smith and the crew of Fall Ride, get a check of $22,050.